Do you have a specific use case that you want to see an n8n workflow built out for? Well, today we are going to tackle at the real Davy his or her request for a workflow build. That is what we do here at Automation Consulting Services. We specialize in building automation and programmatic workflows. And today we're going to take down this challenge. We're going to do a live build based off of this post from the real Davy. So the real Davy asked, and this is based off of another one of our videos, which you can feel free to go check out. Here's the name right here. They said, so basically, I would like to post one time per day on X, Facebook, and Instagram using my own photos from iCloud, or it's probably way easier from Google Drive. I don't think I need AI to write captions. I already have custom captions for my own work, so maybe link a Google Sheet with the captions on it, schedule trigger, randomly choose a photo with link of the Google Drive image on Google Sheet, randomly take a caption on Google Sheet, post on social media. I don't know if something like this is possible. I discovered n8n yesterday, so you can imagine I'm not familiar with this. Thank you again. All right, so we're just going to take this down one step at a time. You're going to see the live build process. We will edit some things out, but we'll try to keep it mostly kind of stream of consciousness as we're tackling this. And yeah, I mean, we'll just get right into it. We'll hop into our n8n workflow now. And just so you can see what you're working for, this is Matt after he has finished the project. So we're interjecting this into the flow of the build a little bit here, just so you can see what you're working towards. This is the build, and the finished product will look something like this. The demo is just always good to see before you get going so you know what you're headed towards. So we're posting to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. You're going to see reposts, but it's just good to see the thing work. This is just, yeah, it's just good to see it work. So let's hop into those different platforms here. We're going to go to X first. And this is our account we're using. Here is our profile. And that's one of the captions, coffee first, magic later, kind of funny. And then let's hop into Facebook and Instagram. And there you go. Same thing. Coffee first, magic later. And let's hop over to Instagram. Boom. There it is. Coffee first, magic later. Yep. So it works. This is the post from earlier from the video. So you'll get to see that as you work through the video. And just hop over into our Skool community right here. And once you press on that nice start free trial button, you can hop into the actual Skool community. Jump over into the classroom, come down here to user requested workflows, and you can just download this workflow right here. The video will be uploaded for the tutorial. If you want to follow along, that is all you need to do. Otherwise, you can just follow along with the video. And now let's get started with the build in n8n. All right, so we are in n8n, and we've got a schedule trigger node, and we'll be hopping back and forth to our email, that email that was sent from the real Davy. And let's hop into the schedule trigger node. I already got started a little bit, but I'll just show you what I did here. We can zoom in so it is a little clearer. So the schedule trigger, the real Davy seems to want this done randomly. Typically posts, depending on your audience, are going to be best at certain times a day. So the real Davy will want to optimize this, but we just set this, we generated this from ChatGPT. This is easy enough to generate flow in ChatGPT, and we just said create a random number between 1 and 59. That is for our minutes, and we drop that into the minutes section here. And then we said create a random number between I said 9 and 5, right? So in 24-hour notation, that would be 9 and 17. So create a random number between 9 and 17. Just threw that into ChatGPT, or 9 and 16, I guess. Should be 17, but anyway. So this will input a number, and this will be the time that this trigger happens at for the real Davy. So yeah, days between triggers, that'll be, it'll happen every day, just like they asked. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to set up the Google Sheet. So based off of our specs, they said, I don't think I need AI captions. I already have custom captions for my work. So maybe a Google Sheet with the captions on it. Scheduled trigger. Yeah. So we need to create a Google Sheet for them and then link that to n8n. So let's do that real quick. I'm going to do that behind the scenes. You can go ahead if you're following along and do that on your own. All right. So we are back here. And just so you can see what's going on. Anything that's super boring, I'm just going to, yeah, we're just going to cut it out. So anytime that we're here thinking, not saying anything, it's just pretty boring for YouTube, even though that would be an authentic live build. We're going to spend time and think. We're just going to cut it out. So we spent a little bit of time thinking, and we just drew up this sheet, right, for the real Davy. We have our captions. We can get rid of this. I just had ChatGPT generate some random captions for me. Right, we hop in. I just told ChatGPT, hey, randomly generate 10 captions for me, put them in a one column table. I grabbed them, copied them. The real Davy wants to choose these randomly. And so that's totally cool. That's up to them. And then they want to randomly choose a photo. So the other thing we'll need in this, the real Davy sheet, is we'll need the photo URL. And so they seem to be indifferent whether that's in iCloud or it is in Google Drive. So what I'm going to do right now is just go grab some random photos and then drop them into this Google Drive sheet. And I'll show you a little bit of that. We won't show you too much. An interesting software that has been brought to my attention recently is something called Unsplash. Unsplash is interesting because it has an API you can access and it has pretty beautiful photos. So we'll just grab a bunch of random photos here. We don't really care. We're going to add them to our Google Drive. Let's download. We'll download 10 just for the purposes. We'll download 5. That'll be faster. So you can see some of these things you have to pay for. We'll just grab a number of these. They're pretty photos though. So if you are looking for photos for your automated social media posts, Unsplash could be a good solution for you. All right, we'll grab those and just toss them into file upload. Toss them into this folder. We'll open them up here. All right, so as those are loading, so our next step is we'll do two things at once here. We're going to add a Google Sheets trigger, Google Sheets. And we want to get rows in a sheet. And so in order to do this, if you're following along or, at the real Davy, you'll be building this, you'll definitely be watching this. You are going to have to set up a credential. So the easiest way to do this is just come in here and then click sign in with Google. However, that won't be enough. Once you sign in with Google, I don't think it'll be enough. I've set up a number of things in the Google Cloud. They all differ a little bit from each other, but you will need to I think to get this running, you're gonna have to go to cloud.console.cloud.google.com. Zoom in here, remind me later. And what you're gonna have to do, we'll zoom out a touch. That's fine. Is you are gonna have to sign up. So sign in, however you do that. You'll need a Google account. And then what you will need to do is, and I think I'm actually gonna do this on a separate account just to protect credentials and things like that, which I recommend doing if you are going to be making YouTube videos. Definitely set up other accounts so you don't expose all of your stuff to the world. Remind me later. Great. And then, so you're gonna come in here, set this up, and you'll come to something that looks like this. You'll have these kind of different settings on your page here. Again, I'm zoomed in a little bit just for so it comes in clearer on YouTube. And then you're gonna go to create a project up here. Click a new project. We'll make a new project just for the sake of this, just so you can see. Let's just call it project 3. Create. We need to make sure we select that project. Once it's created, you can see it's still project 3. Let's pick it. Great. And then you're going to come here and go to Google Sheets. And then you have to enable this. So press that enable button. That's super important. Google Sheets is a pretty easy API to connect, but if you don't do this, I'm like 97% sure it won't work. Maybe it still will work, but pretty much every other Google API you use, Gmail, Drive, all those other ones, you're gonna have to do this. You have to come into console.cloud.google.com and then put in that info. All right, so that is enough for that. That's enough for that. We're back into n8n and zoom in so you can follow along. Yes, just bear with me as we get our bearings here. This is the live builds. All right, so let's just go back and double check and see, make sure everything uploaded into the drive. Let's just refresh. Great, everything looks like it's in. So we have these different photos that we can choose from. And then what we will need to do here is we're gonna grab these URLs. So let's copy the link. So we're gonna be doing a little bit of testing here. And let's just grab one of these first. And we'll come and we'll drop it into this sheet. This is our photo URL. I haven't posted to social media with something from Google Drive. So we'll see how that works. If the process will let us drop the URL in, but every workflow is a little unique. So let's set this up. We should have our Google Sheets account connected now, right? Once you go in and you set up the Cloud API, you just come back in here and then press sign in with Google. And it should say account connected. You should be good to go there. And then the next step is going to be setting up the different social accounts that we want to host to. So for the Real Davy, they said they want X and Instagram. And then they also want Facebook. X and Facebook. And actually the best way to post on Instagram and Facebook is with an HTTP request node. And we'll grab 2 of those. And if you have tuned in to previous videos that we have made about these particular flows, so this is one video, or if you have checked out our Skool Community, these are some of the different tutorials we've uploaded. So under the meta section, you can find flow and then API videos as well. We haven't the Facebook one actually isn't. The tricky piece is just connecting to the different APIs for this. So what I'm going to do is go grab the flows that we've built previously that connect to Facebook, Instagram, and to Twitter, and just come drop them into our current flow right here. That will speed things up significantly. Again, as you get better at n8n, you will have more of these resources that you've built to call upon. Otherwise, you got to do it manually. We will add this though, if you're interested in grabbing this particular workflow, we're going to add this to our classroom. In fact, we can just call this Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. We'll say at the real Davy by request of at the real Davy, and then we'll put in a nice pretty cover photo for that as well. But this is where that'll be hiding. Once we finish this video, the JSON will be right here. You can just download that and then come pop that sucker in right here, import from file, and this will upload. You'll still have to connect all the APIs. It's still going to be a royal pain in your rear if you've never done this before. So if you've never done it before, I'd honestly budget 10 hours. That's no joke. It's not easy. They call it a no-code platform, but that's just a giant joke. This is highly technical, but anyone can do it. So the people who say, "Oh, this is anyone can do it," I agree, but it's also highly technical. So just a word of caution. All right, we're gonna pause the video just so we can go grab those workflows. That'll be pretty boring. We'll be copying and pasting. We'll be right back. All right, and we are back. So we have grabbed the necessary pieces of information for Facebook and Instagram. We're going to link that up. So the reason these things are connected is because Facebook and Instagram are both under Meta. And as we'll see, the Meta API is kind of a big pain in the tush. But you need to get a access token from Meta in order to post to a Facebook page or an Instagram page. And also, one other thing, this is something that will be important for you at The Real Davy and anyone else who is not looking to potentially upgrade their Instagram account, but you need to create business accounts in order to do this on Meta. You don't have to do it on Twitter. Like, let's hop over to Twitter right now. Or X, excuse me. And let's honestly just go through the process of creating. Let's even go do this in a different. We'll go do this in a fake person. Let's go to Twitter. We might still need to log out here. No, great. So if you have a free Gmail account, you can absolutely do this. I'm going to sign up. This is a fake Gmail account that I made, a test account, John Harrow, perhaps some sort of secret agent, another life that I lived. Yeah, and we'll go through the process. It's just helpful to see this. Sometimes it changes. I don't recommend putting in your real birthday. You can do that if you want. This shouldn't be too painful. That's fine. Yeah, that's great. Skip for now. Great. Skip for now. Great. We're interested in sports. It's going to ask us if we want to follow Elon. Sure, Elon. We'll do that. The top of the list. Great. Populated with Elon stuff. Wonderful. All right. So we're signed in. We have a new Twitter account. Let's go to the Twitter, something like developer.x.com. Google search. Yeah, there you go. Developer.x.com. We got it right. And you need to come into this URL. That doesn't get any bigger for you. If I had a keyframe, I'll remember to do that. So developer.x.com, and then go over to your developer portal. And this will allow us to post. You're going to come here, sign up for a free account. You have to tell them about what you're going to do. Usually I just have ChatGPT generate this, but just feel free to type in, I'm going to automate my Twitter account. I want to do all sorts of cool posts about cool stuff, and I want people to interact with. Don't care who follows me or who reads my content as long as I get 1 million followers and I become as rich and famous as Elon Musk. Great. And then we're going to agree to all this stuff because we have to. I'm sure we're going to get some emails from them for doing this, but that's fine. We'll press submit. And we're in. Says something went wrong, but that's a lie. Decline cookies. And then what we need to do, the first step is we need to click this button here and we're going to go to keys and tokens. So we need to generate a bearer and access token, and you'll just want to copy these down somewhere so that you can, you can make these, you can make the posts. You'll need these to make the posts. So I recommend just generating those. You don't want to share these with people. It's just better not to. I'm going to copy these down in my page. So this is part of the live build. It's not super interesting, but we do want to copy this stuff down. This is our bearer token. I'm putting this in a note. I just use Notepad on Windows. You can use whatever you want. Yes, I saved it. Let's generate this. We need the access token. And again, this is just good API hygiene, making sure that you put all your stuff down so you don't lose it. Because when you generate these tokens, for safety, they only let you look at it once. So once you put this in, you can always come in and regenerate another one, but it's easier if you just save it somewhere and then you can access it. Great. So once we generate that, we can go back to settings and then we'll be able to set this piece up, which is important. So we're going to click on read and write in direct message. We're going to click native app. No, actually, we're going to click web app. I'm sorry. And then this piece, the callback URI, this we need to go to. We are going to navigate back to n8n. And we are going to grab the redirect URI. So we come up to X. We're going to add a new credential. We're going to call this one John Harrow. Here's our redirect URI. We're going to click on it to copy it. I did it twice. We're going to go back to where we just were. We're going to copy that. And then for the website URL, you can see these are both required. We're just going to grab the base URL. So this here is, the path after the base. So everything from here is going to be our base URL. We're just going to copy that and save that. Changing permissions might affect your app. We're going to say yes. And then we need to grab these. These are important too. Go drop these into the place where you keep your secret stuff. These are not super secret. So if these ever get exposed to someone, like if I really cared about this account, I definitely would want to regenerate these just to be sure that nobody can programmatically access my account. Great. So that's it actually. We're all set up. And now we can go back to n8n. And we'll go back to n8n and we're going to put in these pieces of info. Client ID, which we had before. So just drop that in. And if you're still learning about APIs and the client secret, every API is a little different. So just press connect. So yeah, it's just, you really just kind of have to do it. So if you're wondering how I'm flying around, doing this so quickly, and we do not want to sign in under this account, we want to sign in under a different one. So let's use our new account info. Or how do we do this? I didn't copy down our Twitter username. I think we signed in with Google. So yeah, you'll just need to sign in with Google. Again, this is part of the dev process here. Managing multiple accounts on the same computer. Yeah, let me just think about this for a minute and then I'm going to turn back on. Just turning back on, just so you can get some of the live build pain of what's going on. We've hit a wall. I don't want to log out of my account on Gmail on this browser. And I don't know how to connect, how to disconnect a Google account because I didn't put a password in. I just logged in with Google. So I need to verify my Twitter password, but I don't think I have a Twitter password. So I think I'm going to do another Google search and say how to disconnect my Gmail Twitter/X account from Gmail. My Google. Again, normally I wouldn't show this, but since we are doing a live build, you should see all the panes. Security, third-party apps, X, confirm your action. You'd think that would work, but it doesn't. It's from 3 years ago. Things that are more recent are obviously going to be more helpful. But here we are, we're stuck. Yeah, I'm going to turn you off right now. I'll turn you back on once we have some sort of resolution, and I'll just tell you how long it took. These are just normal parts of developing. All right, we're back. Reddit to the rescue here. We had a Reddit user answer this account. If you made an account with Google, will the password be, I'm assuming it's going to be the same as what I put here. And they said, no, you'll have to recover your account via Twitter support and clearly inform them you registered via Google account. So we're going to go do that just so you can see how the little aches and pains of developing something. That is not what we want. So let's go to Where were we before? Security and account access, I believe. Connected accounts, disconnect, and then we'd say forgot password. This is the piece. And then just grab your email. I'm going to grab it from off screen here. Throw it in. Yes. I'll go fetch that from Gmail. Password reset. Yes. And again, as you're doing this, you're going to be slower than I am, especially if you're new to this. I do this for a living. And so I have all my accounts. I have great password hygiene and API hygiene. I have everything clearly listed out. I took some, I've invested time to make sure that that is done. All right, we're going to make a new password here. This will allow us to disconnect from Google, all of this so that we connect our API. We'll just say this. Yes, maybe we can choose a different one and it'll let us go. Doesn't seem to like our responses. But yeah, it's definitely worth keeping all your passwords straight, especially if you're going to generate accounts that are going to be doing things that are a little bit suspect, like not be a real human. It's helpful to have separate accounts that are separate from your important personal accounts. So it doesn't seem to like that. So let's try it again. All right, let's sign in. Maybe it took for us. Go back to our settings and privacy. Security and contents, connected accounts. Let's try disconnecting and see if that password worked. Great. And it worked. So we're disconnected from Google, which is great. And I suppose we didn't even need to disconnect from Google. We probably could have left that as it is. Maybe I'll reconnect later. But we do need to go back to our API login. So let's try this now since we generated a new account. We'll put in our username. And then we'll put in our new password. We'll log in. Sure. Let's save it. And okay, this is where we wanted to go. So, 15 or 20 minutes ago, or however long that was, we were trying to author just to refresh our memory. And it said the callback state is invalid, failed to connect. The window can be closed now. So that typically doesn't happen. So let's just go double check everything that we just did and see where we went wrong. So here's our callback URL. We're going to go back into X, back into our developer dashboard. It looks like everything's set up correctly. Let's just double check. This should all be good. We don't even need to save it because we didn't change anything. So let's go back and just try it again. Maybe it was something to do with the timeout on our request. Because we did take some time in between putting this in and then getting everything up to speed. So again, this pop-up window, let's authorize this. Hopefully, great. So it was a matter of timeout. That'll happen sometimes. Great. That window's going to close for us. All right. So we are in. We have authorized Twitter to post for us. And just to show you that this works, let's create a tweet. Let's say, hello worlds, classic programmer. First tweet. All right. Create a tweet, great. And so when you send this, just good to know you can only send one tweet on the free API. You can send one tweet, you can post one tweet every 15 minutes, which really is like pretty good. Just so you don't spam the system. So let's test this. It should work because we're connected. We want to tweet. We're going to create a tweet. All right, let's do it. And there was a problem running the workflow because it wanted to run through Google Sheets. So let's just disconnect this just for now. Sometimes when you press test step, it'll let you do the test step without running the previous nodes, but sometimes it won't. So if we disconnect it, typically when you go solo here, let's zoom in. When you go solo on a node, it's going to let you just run it as is. So let's test it. There we go. It was a success. Let's hop back into Twitter for a moment. Let's go to our profile. And there it is. Hello world, our first tweet. Wonderful. All right, so that's connected. Let's zoom back out here. And we'll zoom in. Now we get to go handle the Facebook meta, the world of meta and Facebook for this. So let's, before we do it, let me just give you a quick walkthrough of the steps you need to take to do this. And again, this is a little bit of a, it's a little bit of a beast. But these are the steps you got to take in order to connect programmatically. So here's something called a forever access token. So that you're going to need to get this forever access token. And what this token is going to do is we're going to plug it into the Facebook API. And this is the endpoint that we need. And so this endpoint, when it's combined with our access token, and again, we have an access token that will live forever, it won't go away. It will give us access to this endpoint. And so what this endpoint is going to return, I'll just show you. It should allow me to show you if I just test this. Nope, it won't. So let's disconnect it again. Again, this is just sometimes what you got to do. Let's make it the first part of our flow. Let's test it. It needs to call on the previous node. I forgot that. So yeah, this node has our access tokens. Let's disconnect here. And let's test this step now. No, it wants a trigger connected. Again, these are just all the little finicky things of n8n, the little ins and outs you got to learn. It really is a great platform, though. It's much faster than programming if you know what you're doing. All right, let's test that. Great. So you can see here, let's move this stuff over. So you just saw the access token if you want to steal it. And so here's what it returns. So when you put this endpoint in, it's going to return an access token for your Facebook page that's associated with your account with this access token. So this access token has access to this Facebook page, and attached to this Facebook page is an Instagram account. And so in order to set up the posting, the automated posting, like I said towards the beginning of this video, you need to set up the Instagram account and you need to link it to your Facebook page, and both of them need to be business accounts in order to have API access to them. It's just how it works. I don't make the rules. I just know the rules. That's what Facebook says. That's what Meta says. So anyway, this endpoint here, which you can just get off of, developer.facebook.com, is the endpoint to get all the page access tokens and all the pages that are associated with this access token. So you can see here, this is the access token for the page. This is the actual page, or this is the name of the page. I'm sorry, Automation Consulting Services. This is the page ID. We're going to need that in a minute too. And so then what we're going to do next is just set a number of fields that we're going to need. So that forever access token is a user access token. Forever lived user access token. And what the user access token has access to is a certain number of pages in your Meta account. So, and then that is going to give you access to your short-lived access tokens for your different Facebook pages and Instagram accounts. And so then we're going to save that as a short-lived page access token. And then we're also going to save the page ID. I'm going to move this back over so you can see. So the page ID, I'm pretty sure I just stole from here. Yeah. I hard coded it in. You can also drag it in if you want, just like this. That'll do the same thing. You just double click on it and drag over. That'll make it dynamic though. I want this to post there every time, so I have it hard coded. And so then once we set that up, this is our branch for Instagram up here. This is like our Instagram branch. And then this is our Facebook branch down here. Again, I'm just setting this up here. Formatting that, great. Yes, this is for Facebook, this is for Instagram. I'll just put that in so you can see. Instagram. Again, this will be online when we're done with it. You can join our community. Facebook. Great. All right. And so then once you have that short-lived access token, which is generated from your user access token, then we actually don't even need this string here because this is for automated posting. Then we can just post right to Facebook. And again, we have the Facebook graph API, whatever. This is the API endpoint. This is, what are we grabbing here? The page ID. So it's going to be our short-lived page ID. Did I delete something unnecessarily? Let's go back here. I'm just going back just to make sure I didn't delete anything. No, that was it. So no, we should be good. All right, that should be fine. And okay, that's great. We'll just save it as we're going. So this is going to, based off of our short-lived access token here, it's going to make a post to Facebook for us. And again, we'll show you how to set this up in a minute. We're just going through kind of the steps. This is the most complex part. And then the Facebook, or for Instagram, we need to connect that Instagram account. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to grab this API endpoint. And again, you can have ChatGPT generate these things for you as well. That's certainly one way to do this. You can say, ask ChatGPT to generate the correct access token for what you're trying to do, but it is kind of complex as well, right? So like even if you hop into ChatGPT and ask them to do this, it just takes some testing. So I know these endpoints work for now. If you're watching this, you know, months from now, these API endpoints may have changed. Hopefully they're still the same. Facebook Meta is always updating these things. But we're just going to take this endpoint and we're going to put in uh, our page ID and then our short-lived access token, which we get from here. Right, page ID, short-lived access token. And you can see we're using an Instagram, right? So this little question mark here means query, and then our fields are Instagram, business account, and then this little and is for concatenating. So, and then access token, and that's going to equal our access token. So this endpoint is going to give us access to the the correct Instagram account essentially. And then we're going to upload a piece of media to Instagram. And we're going to use this endpoint, which is based off of I think this is based off of what we get from this request. So let's disconnect this for a minute. Or if you click this and press D, it'll disable this. And then let's disable this as well. Because I just want to fire this and see what this outputs. All right, so let's just test the workflow. Okay, good. That shouldn't have worked. We'll disable that. All right, yeah. So this is the piece. Again, these are like all the things that are pretty confusing about using this. Is you have all these different tokens. They expire. They don't expire. And this we're just kind of explaining the steps here, but this is helpful. It's worth understanding this, and you can also, if you learn how to do this, you can sell this to people. I've sold this to a number of people. People who want to do this, and it's complicated, but it can be lucrative if you know what you're doing. So this is going to give you your Instagram business account ID. And then this is the ID you're going to need to actually make a post to the IG account. So you can see in this next node here, we're going to grab this ID, right? Account ID. I think. Let's just double check. Yeah, we're grabbing this ID, not this ID. I think this is the ID associated with the Facebook page. And then what we're going to do there is we're going to post to media. So essentially what we're going to do first is upload a piece of media to Instagram. And the piece of media that we're going to use, we're going to grab it from, we are going to grab it from, excuse me. We're going to grab it from our Google Sheet this time so we can delete this value. And we still have to kind of think about what we want to do here for this, how we want to get that information. But yeah, we're going to delete that value. And then the caption we're going to delete as well because we're going to pull that in from Google Sheets. The access token we're going to leave the same. Again, you will have to generate your own access token for this. And all right, so we're on to the next step here. So if you click on this and press D, it'll activate it. Click on this and press D, it'll activate it. All right, so I think we're ready to test and see how our Google Sheet is going to work. So again, this is a live build. I have not done this specifically before, so I'm actually going to disconnect this and reconnect this. Let's highlight these and drag these over. And we are going to link. We can honestly just link here. This will be fine. Delete that trigger. So this is kind of like our whole node. This is our whole, flow here. But let's hop in and we're going to grab our sheet. So we're going back to that Google Sheet we made before. This is the real Davey. I think we just have sheet number 1. And what we want to do is we want to grab info from a specific cell. So let's think about how we want to do this. So we have a random, all right, we have a random caption that the real Davy wants to grab, and then we have a random URL as well. All right, so let's hop back into n8n. So we need to get a specific cell. Now this is interesting. This is something I have not done before. Getting a specific cell. So let's just see here. And I'm just going to put you guys on pause as I think about this, just because pausing, thinking is kind of boring. Or yeah, maybe I'll just let it run. I'll just let it run, and you'll have to figure out kind of when this thinking period ends. All right. All right. So this is definitely what we want. We're filtering, and we want to pull in a caption. Let's fire this first, and let's just see, or let's test the step, and let's just see what it returns if we just test it. So we're going to get the captions column, and we're also going to get the photo URL column. And yeah, I don't think we need this. So let's see what comes back. This is always a good way to just see what we're going to get. Okay, so no data output was returned. Okay, it's because we were filtering for a specific. So let's delete these for a minute and let's just check what we returned. Okay, great. All right, so this is what it returned. So it returned our row number and then our photo URL and such. Cool. All right, so if we wanted to return something random, right? So going back to at the real Davies request, right? I don't think I need to add right captions. I already have captions. Maybe Google Sheet with the captions on it. Schedule trigger. Randomly choose a photo. Randomly take a caption on Google Sheet. Post on social media. Definitely possible at the real Davy. We're just figuring it out. So here is my thought process on how we're going to tackle this. We want to generate a function that is going to randomly choose a number between. I have a couple thoughts on how we can do this. Between 0 and 9, if this is a 0 based array, or between 2 and 11, if that's easier. And then based off of that, and let's honestly, we can throw this into ChatGPT. We might want to formulate it a little more because putting stuff into ChatGPT sometimes can make the issue worse or more confusing, but let's just talk through this. So we're going to generate we want to choose one of these captions, then we only have so many URLs. But for simplicity's sake, let's just say that we have 10 URLs. This will make our life a little easier. Just so we don't have to work out the logic. We could work out logic that would be, only choose based off of the number of URLs. We can make it like a self-selecting thing, like if this column has only one item, then randomly choose between 1 and 1, it'll choose 1. If this column has 3 items, randomly choose between 1 and 3, etc. We'll just make it easier on ourselves. All right. But yeah, let's figure this out. How do we want to select this? Honestly, I think I am going to take to ChatGPT. I'm just going to try to explain the issue in detail here. Again, ChatGPT will think for me, which will save me some time and some energy. So let's say I have an n8n node that will return that will return 10 rows from a Google worksheet in Sheets and in n8n, the 3 columns are, let's just give it the 3 columns. Row number, captions, photo URL. Row number, captions, and photo URL. I want to, in another HTTP request node, I want to randomly choose one of these captions and one of these photo URLs. Can you think of a way to do this programmatically in n8n? Let's see what comes back. Yep, so we're gonna need to do some logic. Okay, we're gonna have to make a function node. Okay, I think this is gonna be our ticket here. So let's try this. Again, ChatGPT is not perfect, especially with n8n, but let's just give it a go and see what comes back. And so we're gonna press the little plus button here. We're gonna type, the code is the same thing as function. We're gonna grab all this, press Control A, delete. We're gonna paste. We're gonna see if any little squigglies come up. This is not what we want. Okay. So let's undo that. So this is one of the issues with ChatGPTs. It's great, and this probably is going to work if we can figure out what to return here. So oftentimes input is going to work. Let's see if input comes back. It doesn't like input. All right. Doesn't like input, and it doesn't like items. Get all rows from the previous node. Yeah, so let's go over to, so it wants to get all rows from the previous node and it looks like it wants to save this. This is some sort of like strange function that it's calling. So let's go into the schema or the JSON. Let's see if we can grab this. This is going to be everything. This is just a little like n8n hack here. Let's grab this if we can. That doesn't let us. It'll let us do this. Won't let us get the input. No, it doesn't like that. Get all rows from the previous node. All right, let's go back to ChatGPT since it doesn't like that. We'll just say this line of code is not working. Have to paste it. There we go. Inside a function node, not a function item node. Get captions. Okay. So perhaps this is some user error here. So it's saying this depends upon the name of our node. So let's try it again. Delete that. So get captions isn't valid. We want Google Sheets. Still doesn't like it. Yeah, it still doesn't like it. Perhaps input? No, it still doesn't like that either. This expression is not callable. All right, let's go back to ChatGPT. If you're using a function item node, it won't work. As fallback if you need persistence or passing data around safely. We'll say my Google Sheets node is called Google Sheets, but it still isn't working. Output index 0, it says. Okay, let's try that. Maybe we just missed a parameter. Yeah, no, it's not it. It still doesn't like it. So let's bring this to, let's bring it to another LLM. Let's see what Claude comes up with. Claude is known for being more of a specialist in programming. So let's take, just gonna drag this over. So we'll zoom in a little bit here. Let's go back to ChatGPT. Let's get that initial prompt. Where was it? This. Let's copy this. Let's go throw it into Claude. Didn't copy. And let's see what comes back. outputting. Okay, so this might be what we're missing here. This might be the correct syntax. Let's just use the whole thing. So you can see it's doing it in JavaScript. So we're doing JavaScript as well. Let's delete ChatGPT's code and let's see if Claude came up with something that's going to help. All right, that's promising. So Claude, you see there's no red lines. So let's take a minute and see what this outputs for. So let's read Claude's code again and just see. You can use extract all captions and footer URLs into separate arrays. Select one random item from each array, randomly return these randomly selected items. Here's a code snippet you can use in the function node. After this function, you connect your HTTP request node. Okay, so this should output 2 arrays for us that we can randomly choose from. So let's test it. I'm going to zoom out a little bit here. Let's test it. Okay, it's an item, but it's empty. So let's just tell Claude that that is what came back. We'll see what it can do. This is more promising though. Was the output from your code? The Google Sheets node has a different structure than what my code assumed. All right, so let's grab all this again. We'll just copy it. Come back into n8n. Let's paste it. Let's test it. All right, so this is not. We're getting some red squiggles here. So it doesn't like our variable declarations here. We're creating 2 empty arrays. Captions and photo URLs. So since this is where the issue is happening, let's come back into Claude and just say we are getting errors with declarations. I don't think that's the issue. So it wants us to switch out var. Let's check. I don't think that's going to be the problem. As somebody who knows JavaScript. Yeah, that's not the issue here. Not the issue. So again, we're running up into a wall here. So this is just part of the development process. Again, the no code, low code stuff, you do end up encountering some code, but don't be discouraged. All right, let's see what this. All right, let's copy this. This is a little different. Let's just see what it outputs here. Do we have any red squiggles? We don't. That's positive. Let's test the step. Okay, so we got an item, but it's empty. All right, so I have to figure out what to do here. All right, this is the piece that I was anticipating would be challenging in our live build. So let's just take a minute and think. What do we want to do? So typically when this sort of thing happens, it's good just to break it down. And again, I know more code than probably it's never read. So let's return JSON items. I think this is the syntax. Maybe it's this. JSON. Let's go back to Claude. I'll just say what's wrong with this. ChatGPT will know this. What is wrong with n? Okay, just a syntax error. So I'll just copy that. Come back in here. Great. So it's just a small, you can see the difference. I just should have added some curly braces here. Curly brace here. And curly brace here. And this is because n8n works exclusively in JSON. Everything needs to be an object. It won't handle variables. It won't handle, strings, integers, things like that. Everything has to be in JSON. And this is JSON, what we're dealing with here. All right. So let's return that and let's just see what comes back. Okay, great. So we did get, so when we return items, what we get back is an array. And the array has 10 items, but you can see it's something called zero indexed. So it's 0 to 9 inclusive of 0. 0 includes a value. So essentially what we want to do is we want to return this photo URL. So yeah, we want to return a random number between 0 and 9. And then we want to concatenate onto that a caption. So let's create a constant, which is just a variable, and we'll call this random number. And we'll set this equal to, and let's just have ChatGPT generate this in n8n. JavaScript code node generates a random number between 0 and 9, both inclusive. That'll write the code. That'll be great. That's what we want. Back into n8n. Again, that just saves us a couple minutes. Saves us a little bit of time thinking. You can see that's going to return our number. We've got random number there. All right. So then what we can do is we can say we want items dot all right, let's throw this into Claude here. Let's just say, how can I programmatically return? How can I programmatically in n8n return the caption for the second item in this index? And let's just paste this. It should know. Okay, second items. Okay, this is the syntax .json .captions. And then instead of putting in the 1 here, we're going to add in our random. So let's do that. So that works. And then here we put up our random number. We're going to add random number. Great. Dot captions. Then we should return dot captions. And since we reference those things, we shouldn't need to return them, because returning them is going to send them here. We just want to return that second item caption. So let's test this and see what comes through. Great. That's it. And if we do it again, we should get a different caption. Great. If we do it again, we should get a different caption. Awesome. All right. So that's really working well. All right. So let's call this our, we can even add into this. So let's delete these lines of code. We'll clean this up a little bit. Again, right? This is a little bit of coding. It's not. Let's return that. Constant. Great. Great. All right. All that stuff's good. All right. So the next thing we need to do is we need to return a random URL. So we can use a similar syntax here. So let's honestly just copy this. Control C. We'll put these together here. It's giving us an error. We'll call this random item caption. Random item caption. And the constant here, we'll call this random item random URL, image URL. So it's descriptive. Random image URL. And I forget what we called this. I think we called it photo URL, right? But I'm not sure how we're going to return that. So let's go back and let's return all of this. Let's return all these items, just so we can see the format again. This will help us get the syntax down. JSON, and then random items. Yeah. So let's do that and let's just see what comes back here. All right, great. Captions, and then we have, it looks like photo URL. Yeah, we can just include as photo URL. Okay. Photo URL. Let's see how does it reference it in here? Ah, yeah, like so. Okay, so we got to hold it together with brackets. .json. Let's just copy this. I press Control X, and then Control Shift K is going to kill the line. The home button on Windows is going to do that. So I'm just kind of jumping around here. Great. And let's see if we return that, let's see what comes back. And if we're going to comment this out. You can press 2 forward slashes to comment that out. We'll comment this out too. I think we can only return one thing. Oh. Well, let's test it. Let's see if we can return 2 things. No, we can only return one thing. So comment this out, and then comment this out as well. It's a coding trick. All right, random URL. Great. All right, if we update this, we run this again, so let's run this. Let's run this. We should have a new output there, so let's run this now. Great, we have a random URL. Okay, so we got a random URL. So we're just going to split this up just to make this easy. We're going to split this up into 2 nodes. We're going to call this our get random URL node. Get random URL. And create a little bit of space here. And let's call this copy. We'll paste it here. Let's hook it up. And press delete. And let's call this get random caption. Caption, great. And we're just going to comment. We can actually just delete this because we have another node that's doing that. And then we need to uncomment this. So just press delete. We can delete this as well because we don't need, no, just this. We don't need to return these items. And then we'll just test this step. Make sure it runs. Great, vibes speak better than words. Awesome, simplicity is the ultimate flex. Awesome, great. Wonderful. All right, so that gives us what we need. Again, this is just the live build component, right? This is how building these things work. It's trial and error. Even when you're professional, it's still trial and error. So for those of you who are just getting started, do not be discouraged. Programming is so much fun, so satisfying when you build something, but it does take just a lot of hours of trial and error, using ChatGPT, surfing the internet. All right. Gonna press Control S to save my workflow. Make sure you do that occasionally when you're building. And we're pretty much ready to run at this point. I think because this build has gone on for so long at this point, it would be better to have you just go watch the video that we made already on connecting to the Meta APIs. But there's also part of me that likes to keep everything in the same place. So perhaps that is, yeah, perhaps that's the best thing to do. It's just to show you quickly. But let's just, before we hook up, let's just throw the captions in. All right, so we're going to post to our Facebook page here. The message is going to be our caption essentially. So let's delete this and let's go throw in to our Google Sheets. All right. And we need our get random caption. That's what we want. So it's going to be generated each time. We're just going to grab that. You can use JSON or table. I like table best. Just a preference thing. And that value, that'll be the random caption that we want. So that'll post. And again, this is going to post to my Facebook page. And then we'll come over here to Instagram and we've handled that. Upload media to Instagram. The caption we have. Okay. So we can toss our caption in here. Get random caption. And then let's toss our image URL in here. All right, so the only thing that I foresee going wrong, let's execute. Let's execute this. We had this working before. Let's see what's wrong. Cannot read properties undefined JSON line 11. Let's try dot photo URL. Okay. All right, we're almost there. So we have to go back and kind of maneuver this to grab the random caption. So to do this, we'll type back in here and let's play around again with a constant. All right, so yeah, we need to get this is the syntax for multi-line comment. Block comment, multi-line comment. So let's get rid of that. And then let's return our items again. Return JSON items. We'll move this so we can comment out this. All right, great. Let's test the step here. I should return everything here. All right, so let's go back into this node. We just have to figure out how to access this. This is what we're trying to find out the syntax for. Let's just drop it in and let's see what it does. See, it doesn't even like that. Let's add in a new code node just to take out some of the variables here. So let's add in node. Let's delete this and let's just grab this and let's see. Yeah, see, it doesn't even like that name. That this isn't, so what this red line means is that item doesn't even really exist. But that's what we dragged in, so that's confusing. So you can see that exists. Let's make this bigger. Let's open this up. It'll be bigger this way. So input first. All right, so I think probably the issue here is this. It's our name. Photo URL is probably a bad name because captions takes. So it's probably just a bad name. So let's go back to this sheet and let's squish this together. I bet you that's gonna work. As silly as that sounds, that's probably gonna work for us. All right, so let's run it again. And let's run it from, we'll disconnect and let's run it from here. This will just refresh our Google Sheet. That's fine. This is the thing that we want to figure out. Our photo URL. All right, so let's drag that in. I'll bet you. I'm willing to bet that's going to be our problem. Look at that. Yeah. No red line. So let's delete this node. Let's connect these back up. Let's go back into here. Let's get rid of this. Control-Shift-K will it'll kill the whole expression, which isn't what we want. Let's just get that. Drag in photo URL. There it is, no red squiggle. Let's run it and see what we get. Boom. Let's see, one uck. Let's see if that changes. Oh no, but it's the same URL, so it should be fine. All right, so that should be good. All right, so we're on to the next step here. We're just slowly tackling small challenges. This is how you build things in n8n or any development environment. One bite at a time. That's how you eat an elephant, everybody. So we'll save this. We will save this. Great. And then the one I'm really interested in testing is the Instagram. So yeah, before I show you how to set up the Instagram, let's just run this. And let's just see if it posts. Let's run the whole thing. Okay, so it didn't like something. Image URLs required. All right, we didn't put that in. Let's go back to our node, get random URL. We'll just drag this in because it's going to be dynamic. Let's run it again. And then let's see what comes up. Bad requests. It might not like our URL. Only photo or video can be accepted as media type. Okay, so it doesn't like our URL. It also doesn't like that. So let's switch this. Oh, and the get random caption. All right, so we also have to change our get random caption. If you remember, we changed this so that we could test. And we made a block comment. All right, let's run it one more time. I think we're still going to hit the same issue, but let's just test it again just to see. And we didn't even put the caption in, so it's definitely going to error out. Get random caption. Yeah, it didn't run correctly. Got to run it again. Var items. Items, this should be random number. This is kind of a bit of a messy programming job here, but this is just how you figure out the errors. You run the code. So we had forgotten to, and it looks like we didn't return our items anywhere. Yeah, so I actually think we don't need this because we're not using it. So yeah, that was code that, again, that ChatGPT gave us that code. We ended up not needing it. We kind of figured it out on our own, but it got us started, which is the important part. So let's run it again. Sometimes this happens. We're executing the workflow, but we're not seeing anything. This is like, we're going to refresh the page after this. This is probably it. So it's still executing, which means it can be good or bad. We'll see. Let's stop it and just see what happens. So it stopped. There's a problem. So let's save it and then refresh. And refresh the page. We can even leave it and then come back. Still doesn't like this. Line 7. Huh. Undefined reading 2 on line 7. JSON.items. Ah, yes. We deleted this. Constant items we had was equal to, yeah, and this is just a again, there's a lot of slow thinking here. This is just a part of the process. So we got rid of our items. Random number. Input. Yeah, I'm just gonna pause for a minute here as I think. So we solved the issue here. It was just a matter of condensing the code into one function node. So this is now our get random caption and get random image URL. And essentially what we did is we just grabbed this code here and copied it over to our previous node. And we pasted it in here. And then we removed, because input first JSON is accounted for by this items variable, we just removed it and got items. Items.json.photo URL. So that is the output, and that'll output this each time. All right, so we can see random item caption. And if we go in and change this, all right, let's just so you can see here that these are all different. Right, when we fire this off, we'll disconnect that. This won't run here because it's aired out. We can delete this, but this each time this should give us a different number. Right. So that's going to achieve kind of the functionality that we want. So yeah, not too, again, this took some playing around with, mostly because figuring out how to write the how to identify and then correctly write the functions for this can just be a little bit of trial and error, but totally doable. Lean on ChatGPT, lean on Google, and you will get through. But you can copy this for this particular video. We're just going to hook this up. And again, we're coming back here. We're going to change out these. This is our random image URL. We got to change that from 5. We're going to do that momentarily. Great, that's ready to go. Let's paste this back in. We'll delete that, so that should be ready to go for us too. Again, we might still error out here, but let's just test it. Yeah, see, it still doesn't like this. Only photo and video. So everything's working. I'm guessing it's just an issue with uploading a Google Drive photo to the cloud. It doesn't really like that. But let's also try maybe Maybe it just needs public access. So we'll give it edit access. So let's copy that link. Sometimes that can be a problem too. And let's just come and drop that in here. Great. We'll run it one more time just to see. And this is just part of the testing process. Still doesn't like it. So yeah, Google Drive doesn't seem to be a viable option considering everything's green. Everything should be working. And let's just test this too, just with a URL that we know works. So let's just grab a let's just grab a random URL. Grab a photo of n8n. n8n logo. We just need a solid URL that we can grab onto here. Yeah, that's not going to be it. We need something that's just a URL. Maybe this. No, not that either. No, let's see. Yeah, no, still not. Yeah, so let's grab a. Again, I'll take a minute. I'll find this just so we're not. You don't have to watch this piece, but this is part of the process for sure. All right, so we are back and we did skip over some steps. This video is pretty long already, but we got what we were looking for. So what we needed to do, the issue was, and this is the stuff you learn when you do it, Instagram will not allow you, or Google will not allow you to use Google Drive URLs, right? So this URL right here will not work. So the URL needs to be converted into what's called, I think, a direct download. Yeah, direct download link. That's what ChatGPT told me. And so that direct download link, that can then be used to upload the image. So what we did was after our get random caption and get random image URL, we used something called a regex function, regex function. That's a code thing. And this is the function. I had ChatGPT generate this for me. Basically what I told ChatGPT is I said, hey, what I want you to do is, can you write me a regex function that will get this file ID, which is between D and view from this Google Drive link. And this is what it gave me. And then it gave me some code that I didn't think was going to work. So I came in and just constructed this myself, or I reprompted it actually. And what we got does in fact work. So you can see here, we got the successful upload. So this is our image URL, which is constructed by just adding the base ID, base file ID onto this direct download link. This is just a standard link that Google has. That's what ChatGPT said. And you just add on by pressing the expression button. You add on your particular URL. So what this is going to do is it's going to go to that get image ID from Drive node, which is back here, and it's going to grab this output. For some reason, this regex or this piece of code is outputting two things. They're identical, so either one will work, but that is what we're going to do. And yeah, let's run this. Let's see what we get. So this should run, and we should have a post to Instagram. We'll check and see what comes up. So all of that is functioning. That's great. Wonderful. So let's just head over to Instagram and let's see what comes up here. Is this the correct profile? And we have an issue because it didn't post. Nope, it did. That's it. That's our post. So it does in fact work. That is the API configuration. These are some other test posts. And the caption could obviously be uploaded as well. And then let's check Facebook and see what came up on Facebook. Then you can see it worked for this as well. This was the caption, kind of funny, caught in the act of living. It posted there as well, caught in the act of living. Again, these are just test accounts, but that does work. And so that is how you could do that. So all you need to do at this point, once you get that API set up, is you just need to come in here and change out the links and then put in your captions. So this would be the file that works. That would be totally, you know, that would work well. It seems like it would work well. So, and then the last step would just be configuring your Meta API. And so to do that, let's just take a minute here and show that. All right, so because of some technical difficulties, we'll not be doing the showing on this particular video the integration with the Meta Business profile, but please go check out our video on our channel, which will be linked below, which shows you exactly how to do that. It's a flow very similar to this. It'll walk you through step by step. But this is the flow for creating that automated, the automated upload to Facebook and Instagram for our friend at the real Davi, and this was um, the final reply, or this was the kind of the prompt that we built it off of. I think that we did everything that the real Davi wanted. Randomly took a caption, posted on social media. I suppose the last thing that we need to do is just hook up the Twitter node, which is easy enough to do. We'll just put it over here just so it looks neat. And we can add just a little note for it. This will be Twitter. And we can have that caption post as well. We'll change the caption to our random caption. Which was, let's go to table. This. And again, the captions could be different depending, so great. And that is the live build. So you can see that, yeah, building something just takes time, and definitely don't get discouraged if you are building something out and it's taking you longer than you think. These things typically do. But once you build out an automation, it's a bit like building out a set of train tracks. You can just run along those tracks for as long as the tracks are in place. And so the only things you really have to worry about changing are if the APIs change, which doesn't happen too frequently. Um, but there are a number of different factors that you'll just need to control for. So that is it for us here at Automation Consulting Services. I'm Matt, and definitely like, subscribe, and drop any comments you have below. Do all the things. Check out our Skool Community as well. That's where this will be posted. And just as a reminder, this is what our Skool Community looks like. Join us. Classroom. You can start your free trial. We'll have the listed will be down here. So, all right. That's it. So we will see you guys in the next one. And there you go. Same thing. Coffee first, magic later. And let's hop over to Instagram.